You've seen it in your mind 1,000 times. The future, the freedom, the ease, that life that feels like it belongs to you, even if you can't yet explain how you'll get there. And maybe no one else sees it, but you do. You've closed your eyes and breathed it in. You've reached for the feeling, the frequency, as if you could pull it into your cells and make it real. You've whispered affirmations until your throat went dry. You've lit candles, written intentions, and begged the universe to hear you. And for a moment, it almost feels like it's working. You get a sign, a synchronicity, a sudden wave of clarity or possibility, and you tell yourself, this is it. But then, the high fades, the signal weakens, and reality feels exactly the same. You go back to the loop, the emotional repetition, the overthinking, the feeling that you're standing still while the vision drifts further away, and you begin to wonder, why does something that feels so real remain so out of reach? You ask yourself silently, is there something wrong with me? Am I not aligned enough, spiritual enough, disciplined enough? But here's the truth, one that might dismantle everything you've believed. You are not broken, and the universe has not ignored you. You've just been told the wrong story. You were taught that wanting something with all your heart would be enough. That visualizing with clarity and emotion would bend reality in your favor. That if you just believed hard enough, the universe would eventually reward your effort. But what if I told you that the quantum field doesn't operate on belief? Not the kind that lives in your mind, because belief alone doesn't emit a frequency. Embodiment does. And what changes your reality is not how vividly you imagine something, but how fully you become a match for it. There's a reason your vision feels powerful. It's not a fantasy. It's a frequency already alive inside you. But that energy isn't activated through wishing. It's activated through alignment. You can't reach that new life by vibrating in lack. You can't attract love while radiating fear. You can't magnetize abundance if your nervous system is still locked in survival. The field doesn't translate your affirmations. It doesn't tally your vision boards. It doesn't respond to emotion that isn't supported by embodied truth. It tunes into what you are, how you show up when no one is watching, how you carry yourself in moments of silence, how your breath lands in your body when you're not trying to perform being high vibe. And this is where everything begins to shift. Not because you've mastered a technique, but because you finally understand that you don't have to do more. You have to be more you. Not the version you've built from strategy, but the version that's been waiting beneath the layers of delay, doubt, and disbelief. So this isn't about manifesting harder. It's about remembering deeper. Remembering that the life you've seen in glimpses isn't far away. It's already encoded in your field. You're not trying to create it. You're simply learning how to resonate with it. And in this space, we're not going to repeat empty affirmations. We're not going to reach. We're going to return. We're going to stop using our energy to prove we're ready and instead stabilize into the truth that we already are. Because alignment doesn't respond to effort. It responds to coherence. And coherence doesn't come from the mind. It rises from within when you stop asking, stop striving, and start remembering that the future isn't something you chase. It's something you tune into. Now take a breath. Let it be slower than usual. Let your body feel this, not just your mind. We begin here, not from desire, but from resonance. And if this message didn't just make sense in your mind, but softened something in your body, if it reminded you of a truth you've always known but never said out loud, then leave a comment with the words, I'm not chasing, I'm remembering. Let that be your declaration, your first act of alignment. And if you want to stay connected to the frequency of this space, if you know this isn't just another message, but a mirror, then subscribe not out of habit, but from resonance, because your energy already knows this isn't just information, it's activation. Let's begin. You've been taught that desire is powerful, that wanting something with intensity is the first, and maybe the most important, step to receiving it. You were told that if you just focus hard enough, visualize vividly enough, believe deeply enough, eventually what you long for will arrive, and so you did. You pictured your dream life again and again. You imagined the details, the home, the relationship, the abundance, the peace. You tried to feel it in your body. You closed your eyes and tried to convince yourself that you were already living it. But then you opened your eyes, and everything looked the same. And inside you, something collapsed. Not just the belief in manifestation, but maybe even the belief in yourself. So let's say this clearly. Desire alone does not create reality. In fact, if you're not aware of how desire works within the quantum, it may actually push your dreams further away, because here's the illusion. Desire, by its nature, is born from lack, from the not having, from the belief, conscious or unconscious, in that something is missing. And when you live from that frequency, no matter how vivid your visualization, what you're broadcasting into the quantum field is the energy of absence. You're saying, I want this because I don't have it. I need this because I am not yet whole. I'll feel safe when this shows up. But the field doesn't hear your words, it feels your energy. And what it reflects is not your imagination, but your vibration. This is why people get stuck. They visualize more, they script harder, they affirm louder, but their energetic signature stays the same, a silent echo of unworthiness, distance, and craving. You can't create coherence while vibrating in contradiction. You say, I'm love, but your heart flinches when someone gets close. You affirm, I am abundant, but your body contracts when you look at your finances. You write, I am free, but you wake up every day with the energy of urgency and pressure. This isn't failure, it's fragmentation, and fragmented energy is noisy, too dissonant for the field to reflect clearly. Because the quantum doesn't respond to good intentions. It responds to cohesive frequency. That's why visualization on its own will always feel incomplete. It's a glimpse, not a doorway, a tool, not the source. It can open the emotional memory of what's possible, but it can't anchor you into that possibility unless your entire being begins to reflect the same truth. So the real work isn't about wanting more. It's about recalibrating your frequency to match the reality you've seen in your vision. It's about dissolving the belief that you must still become someone else before you're allowed to have what you desire. Because when you stay in the state of wanting, you remain energetically married to not having. And no matter how clear the goal, if your inner state contradicts the outcome, you will always feel like you're chasing something just out of reach. That's why the shift must happen before the results arrive. Not because the field demands perfection, but because the field demands resonance. So here's the new invitation. Stop asking, what do I want? Start asking, what am I currently vibrating? And then, what must I become to embody the reality I used to only imagine? This is not about forcing a false identity. It's not about faking confidence or pretending to be healed. It's about tuning your inner world to the frequency of truth that already lives beneath the fear. Because when you start vibrating from the knowing that you are already the version of you who belongs in that life, not in theory but in posture, breath, presence, and thought, the quantum field must respond, not because you tricked it, but because you've finally aligned with it. You've been told 1,000 times, ask and you shall receive. Set your intentions. Tell the universe what you want. So you did. You asked clearly. You visualized carefully. You wrote it down, lit the candle, said the words with full conviction. You followed the steps, believing that if you got the ritual right, the universe would reward you. But the truth is, the quantum field isn't listening to your requests. Not in the way you were taught to believe. Because the field, this vast, intelligent matrix of energy that surrounds and responds to us, doesn't speak human language. It doesn't process words. It doesn't weigh intentions. It doesn't respond to effort. It responds to resonance. It mirrors frequency, which means that it's not what you say that shapes your reality. It's what you emit, what you broadcast, what your energy declares when your mouth is silent and your thoughts aren't curated. You might be telling the universe, I am ready. I am abundant. I am open to love. But if the undercurrent in your body says, I don't feel safe, I don't believe this will last, I'm still afraid of being seen, then that's the signal being received, not the statement, not the script, not the vision board. This is the secret no one told you. You cannot fake frequency. You can write your desires in gold ink on fine paper. You can meditate with flawless posture. You can speak affirmations into the mirror every morning. But if your nervous system is still anchored in lack, fear, or self-protection, the signal you're sending is confusion. And the field always responds to the dominant vibration, not the most poetic one. This is why so many people feel disillusioned by manifestation, because they followed the guidance, they did the steps, and still, the change didn't come. They were asking from a place of dissonance, desiring from a frequency of lack, trying to manifest from a body that didn't feel safe enough to receive, and the quantum field doesn't override that. Not because it's cruel, but because it is exact. It's not punishing you, it's reflecting you. Not your words, but your energetic posture, and posture is deeper than behavior. It's the silent shape your energy takes when no one is watching. It's the way your heart responds to stillness. It's how you breathe when life slows down and there's nothing left to chase. So if your reality feels stuck, if what you want isn't showing up, stop asking harder. Stop doing more. Instead, turn inward and ask, what signal is my body sending when my mouth is quiet? What does the field feel from me? Not what do I say, but what do I radiate? This is not about blame. It's about power. Because once you understand this, once you truly feel the precision of the field, you'll stop trying to convince it, and you'll start learning how to attune to it. The universe doesn't respond to performance, it responds to truth, and truth is not loud. It's coherent. It's when your thoughts don't contradict your emotions. It's when your body agrees with your words. It's when your energy stops rehearsing protection and begins practicing presence. That's when the field shifts, not because you asked better, but because you became clearer. And when your frequency becomes coherent, you don't have to beg for alignment. You become the reference point around which reality begins to organize itself. You are not waiting for the universe to hear you. You are learning how to speak in the only language it understands: energetic consistency, emotional truth, and embodied alignment. It's easy to believe your dream life is far away, that you're separated from it by time, by circumstances, by luck. But what if the real reason you haven't stepped into it yet isn't because it's distant, but because you're simply not tuned to it? Think of a radio. Your desired life is already broadcasting on a specific station. The music is playing. The signal is active. But if you're tuned even slightly off, all you'll hear is static. It's not that the frequency doesn't exist, it's that you're not locked in. This is what most people miss. They look at their current circumstances and assume they're not ready, that they still need to heal more, or prove more, or wait for things around them to change. But alignment isn't about achieving more. It's about clearing the interference. You are not unworthy. You are not broken. You're just slightly misaligned, because for years you've been conditioned to live in the frequency of not yet. You were taught to wait, to earn, to prove your worth through effort, struggle, and delay. And so even when your soul remembers the version of you who is already whole, your body hesitates. Your nervous system flinches. It feels foreign to live from completion when you've spent so long rehearsing lack. This dissonance is not your fault, but it is your opportunity. Because once you understand that you're not far from your vision, that the version of you who already lives it is not in some distant future, but vibrating right now in a higher frequency, the path becomes much clearer. It's not about chasing. It's about recalibrating, not about becoming someone new, but about removing everything that made you believe you were anything less than what you already are. That version of you, the one who walks in clarity, peace, confidence, and abundance, they already exist. Not in a fantasy, in the field, in the now. And the moment you stop reaching and start remembering, you begin to feel it, the shift. Subtle at first, but real, like a quiet knowing rising from deep within your core. Not loud, not dramatic, just true, because frequency doesn't scream. It resonates. And the more you allow yourself to embody that resonance, even if your outer world hasn't changed yet, the more reality begins to respond. Gently at first, then undeniably. You were never far. You were just slightly out of tune. And now, you're learning how to come back into harmony with the life that's been waiting for you all along. There's a moment in the journey when everything starts to make sense. Not because the world outside has shifted, but because inside you have. Your thoughts, your emotions, and your behaviors, once fragmented and conflicted, begin to align. And in that alignment, something rare happens. You stop leaking energy. This is coherence, and it's the real secret behind quantum creation. You can call it alignment, embodiment, or resonance, but at its core, coherence is when all parts of you speak the same truth. No more saying one thing, feeling another, and acting in contradiction. No more trying to manifest abundance while emotionally bracing for disappointment. No more dreaming of connection while your body still flinches from intimacy. When coherence is present, your signal becomes clean. It becomes steady. And in the quantum field, steadiness is power. Because the field doesn't respond to intensity, it responds to consistency. A clear, undistorted frequency that no longer sends mixed instructions. And here's what most people don't realize. The problem isn't that you're not dreaming big enough. It's that you're energetically scattered. Part of you believes. Part of you doubts. Part of you moves forward. Part of you pulls back. That inner tug of war. It creates noise in your field. And when your energy is noisy, the universe echoes back confusion. Not as punishment, but as a perfect reflection of the signal you're emitting. But when you become coherent, when your heart, your mind, and your body begin to agree, your frequency sharpens like a tuning fork. Your energy becomes magnetic, and manifestation stops feeling like a guessing game. It feels like a remembering, because you're no longer trying to get anything. You're simply living as someone who already has it, not through effort, but through truth. And this is important. Coherence isn't about perfection. It's not about never feeling fear or never having doubts. It's about returning, again and again, to the inner alignment that says, I know who I am, I know what I carry, and I will keep showing up from that place. When you live in coherence, your words feel anchored, your actions feel authentic, your decisions feel clear, even when the path ahead doesn't. And that stability, it's what begins to shift reality around you, not because you forced it, but because you finally matched it. This is how the quantum responds, not to temporary high-vibe moments, but to sustained, integrated, embodied truth. You've probably heard the phrase before, act as if. It's everywhere, in manifestation circles, mindset trainings, spiritual teachings, And yet, for many, it feels hollow, confusing, even fake, because how can you act like you already have something when your reality is showing the opposite? How can you walk in abundance when your bank account reflects scarcity? How can you carry the energy of love when you still feel the ache of loneliness? This is where most people misunderstand the essence of this idea. They think acting as if means pretending, performing, putting on a mask and hoping the universe will reward the show. But true embodiment is not performance, and the quantum field is not fooled by pretense. Because in this space, where energy is everything, acting as if doesn't mean faking it. It means feeling it. It means stepping into a vibration before it becomes visible. It means responding from the frequency you've chosen, even if the world hasn't caught up yet. That's not delusion. That's leadership. That's alignment. The K version of you who already has the life you desire. They breathe differently. They move differently. They don't rush. They don't beg. They don't chase. They know, and so they don't wait for proof. They become the proof. This is the real invitation behind Act As If. It's not about creating a facade. It's about collapsing time, tuning your body, your thoughts, your nervous system to a future frequency so completely that your fight present begins to shift in response. And yes, at first it will feel strange. Your mind will rebel. Your past will whisper, "You're pretending." But that discomfort is not a warning. It's a signal that you're stepping into territory beyond your old identity. You're not pretending to be someone you're not. You're practicing becoming who you actually are, without waiting for the world to give you permission, because energy moves first. Form follows. So when you walk into the room like someone who belongs, when you speak with the quiet certainty of someone who no longer negotiates with fear, when you move through your day as if you already are the person you used to dream about, something in the field responds. Not in theory, but tangibly, reality reorganizes itself around stability, not force, not need, but coherence in motion. And in those moments, you'll notice something. You're not acting anymore, you're remembering. At some point you realize something subtle, but undeniable. This version of you, the one who walks with ease, who breathes without fear, who magnetizes peace, love, and abundance, doesn't feel like a stranger. They feel familiar, like someone you've met before, like someone you've always been. That's not imagination, that's memory. Because manifestation isn't about creating something new out of thin air. It's about removing what never belonged. It's about stripping away the noise, the conditioning, the fear, the hesitation, until what remains is the truth you've always carried. You're not moving toward your future. You're collapsing the distance between the you who forgot and the you who remembers. And that shift changes everything. No longer are you chasing outcomes. You're recalibrating identity, not projecting into a fantasy, but returning to a frequency that has always lived in your deeper awareness. That's why this path can feel so strange. Because while your soul recognizes it as home, your body may still be coded for survival. Your nervous system may still be attuned to the vibration of waiting, proving, preparing, but that doesn't mean you're not ready. It simply means you're re-educating your body to match what your spirit already knows. You're teaching your heart to open again. You're guiding your energy out of contraction and back into flow. You're stepping into what feels new physically, but ancient spiritually. Because the self you are remembering, the one who breathes in enoughness, who speaks from clarity, who chooses without shrinking, has always been available, not in some distant future, but in this moment, right here, right now. You don't have to earn alignment, you just have to stop resisting it. And when you do, when you stop reaching for a version of yourself and start living from it, life responds. Not because you've figured it out, but because you've finally matched it. This is not ambition. This is restoration. You're not fabricating a life that didn't exist. You're returning to one that was always yours. The quantum field doesn't hold promises of what could be. It holds mirrors of what already is. If only you're willing to stop searching and start remembering. There comes a moment in the process that no one talks about, a moment that feels quiet, too quiet. You've done the work. You've tuned your energy. You've stepped into coherence. You've released the old narratives, aligned your thoughts, felt the emotional shift. And then, nothing. The outside world remains unchanged. The noise continues. The bills are still due. The mirror still shows the same reflection. And a thought creeps in. Was any of this real? This is the silence before the shift. And it is sacred. It's the moment when your old reality is dissolving, but your new one hasn't fully materialized. It's the energetic pause between resonance and reflection, and it's where most people turn back, because silence, for the conditioned mind, feels like failure. But for the aligned soul, it is confirmation. Here's what you must understand. The quantum field doesn't operate on the same timelines as your calendar. It doesn't obey the rules of instant gratification. Because what you're anchoring isn't a surface-level wish. It's a foundational shift in identity. And foundation takes time, not linear time. Energetic stability. When you stop chasing, when you stop scrambling for proof, when you finally exhale into the energy of enough, the universe doesn't rush in. It waits to see if you'll stay, not to test you, but because reality only reshapes itself around what's sustained, not what's momentary. This is where your nervous system rewires, where your inner dialogue softens, where you stop reaching forward and begin rooting downward. The silence is not stagnation, it's alignment, taking form beneath the surface. The seed doesn't sprout the moment after it's planted. It enters darkness, stillness, a phase of invisible becoming. You are not being ignored. You are being prepared, and yes, this can feel disorienting, because everything inside you has shifted, but nothing outside you confirms it. Yet. But that's the point. The field doesn't respond to desperation. It responds to grounded certainty, to the kind of stillness that says, I no longer need proof to remain aligned. This is the initiation into true embodiment, where your energy holds its shape, even when the world hasn't yet caught up. And when you learn to honor this silence, to meet it not with panic but with presence, you begin to notice something subtle, a shift in your posture, a softness in your thoughts, a sense of peace that wasn't there before, not because your circumstances changed, but because you did. This is not the end of the journey. This is the point at which the external starts listening to the internal and begins piece by piece to respond in kind. The silence is not empty, it's full of rearrangement. Stay with it, let it complete the transformation you began. You didn't force it, you didn't chase it, you didn't beg for a breakthrough, but one day something small, almost insignificant, catches your attention. A repeating number, a phrase spoken at the exact moment you needed to hear it. A stranger saying the very words you whispered in silence the night before, and you feel it, not a rush, not an explosion, but a deep, quiet recognition. This is the language of the field. Before reality changes form, it begins to speak, not in the language of logic, but in the subtle rhythm of resonance, because the quantum doesn't validate your alignment with sudden fireworks. It answers first with confirmation, a kind of soft echo from the future you've already claimed. And if you're present, if you're still enough to feel it, you'll know something has shifted, not outside you, but within you. That moment you stop doubting every sign as coincidence. That moment you feel the deep exhale, Not because something happened, but because you've become someone who no longer needs it to. The field always reflects energy before it reflects matter. Always. And when your energy begins to stabilize into coherence, into trust, into a signal that no longer wavers, that's when signs begin to arrive, not to convince you, but to confirm you. Most people miss this. They look for evidence in material form, a result, a change, a reward. But the quantum doesn't operate that way. It's not transactional. It's vibrational. And when your vibration becomes steady enough, when you stop projecting into the future and start embodying the now, you begin to notice how life starts speaking back. Not loudly, but clearly, through alignment, through synchronicity, through timing that feels too precise to be accidental. These signs are not bribes from the universe. They are mirrors. They don't bring you into alignment. They show you that you're already there. And the more you ground into that knowing, the less you need proof. Because you've become the evidence. Your breath is different, your presence is different. And eventually, so is your reality. Not because you asked, not because you waited, but because you finally became a match. You came here searching for something. Maybe you didn't say it aloud. Maybe you couldn't quite name it. But deep down, you felt it for a long time. This sense that there is more alignment, more clarity, more power. Not out there, not someday, but within you, and waiting to be remembered. And now you know. You're not here to earn that alignment. You're here to return to it. What once felt distant, like a dream barely within, reach is no longer a fantasy. It's a frequency. And it lives inside your breath, inside your posture, inside every choice you make from presence instead of fear. That shift you've been waiting for, the breakthrough you've prayed for, it doesn't arrive wrapped in lightning. It comes quietly, when you stop begging, stop doubting, and start becoming. No more waiting for permission. No more looking for proof. No more performing worthiness for a universe that has never once questioned your value. Because now you see it. The external world was never the source. It was always the echo. The real power has always been in your field, in how you breathe when no one's watching, in how you treat your own energy when nothing around you is changing, in how you carry the vibration of already whole, even when the mirror still shows an unfinished picture. That's not delusion. That's quantum leadership. It's a soft revolution. Not the kind that shouts, but the kind that rewires, that dissolves old timelines, one breath at a time. And now you understand. You don't have to prove you're ready. You don't have to get everything right. You don't need to hustle for alignment. You just need to hold the frequency. Yes, the old self will try to interrupt. It will whisper reminders of who you used to be. It will ask you to wait for safety, to shrink back into what's familiar, to delay your embodiment until the world reflects it. But that voice isn't your truth. It's a memory, a shadow. And it only has power if you give it your focus. Right now, in this moment, you are standing at a threshold, one breath away from choosing the frequency of your future self, not as an idea, but as a lived reality. So, the question is no longer, when will it happen? The real question is, can you stay aligned when nothing around you gives you a reason to? Because that is when the shift completes. That is when matter bends to match vibration. That is when reality, finally, begins to mirror back the coherence you've stabilized within. You are no longer chasing your dreams. You are remembering the version of you who lives them. And you are walking with them now, not in fantasy, but in resonance. This is not a temporary high. It's not a spiritual performance. It's not about showing the world who you are. It's about finally showing yourself. And what happens when you do? The universe responds. Not because you demanded it, not because you tried harder, But because you've become so vibrationally clear, so emotionally stable, so internally safe, that it has no choice. Reality doesn't grant your desire. It reflects your certainty. So pause right now. Let your breath catch up to your knowing. Feel what it's like to be still, yet completely in motion, to be full before anything arrives, to trust, not because something shifted, but because you did. You are not the old story anymore. You are the frequency. You are the calibration point. You are the timeline collapse. You are the quantum shift, not someday, not eventually, now.